Hey guys, Tarke back with an update on my Elemental Inquisitor Wonder. There will be some lag in this video. I still haven't updated my graphics card. I'll get it by early January, but anyway. Um, so far the Inquisitor has been going okay. I have it going pretty slowly. I am only level 83. Now, I've run into a problem I really didn't think would be that big, and that is Leech and Sustain. This build is proving particularly difficult to sustain thanks to the very high mana cost of Kinetic Blast, which I currently have in a 5 link. The mana cost is 54, which doesn't seem too extreme. If you look, my attack speed isn't that crazy, but yeah, that's the FPS I was about. But the problem being is because I am an Inquisitor, and because I have stuff like Instruments of Virtue, I have a lot of attack speed ramp, I have stuff like Vile Haste, obviously a huge attack speed ramp, and basically the second my build actually gets going, if I am not leeching, I am constantly So what I tried to do to remedy this originally was I added a Dogery so I could go Dual Curse to do Assassin's Mark with Poacher's Mark. Now, I need the Assassin's Mark for my power charge generation. I'm a crit build. With all 6 power charges up, I go up to 85% crit chance, which with a Diamond Flask means I always crit, which is pretty nice. And Poacher's Mark solves a lot of my accuracy problems, and as you can see, without the Poacher's Mark, I have very big accuracy problems. It also gives me Frenzy Charge generation, which is more attack speed, which means more sustain problems. But it does give me some mana on hit, which does help somewhat. Now, thankfully, I know a lot of people playing softcore, because I started this league in hardcore, so when I decided to make this character in softcore so I could test it, because I was very worried against relfect and stuff, I had the advantage that I've been able to borrow a lot of gear. Hail, you are a god. So I managed to pick up a Vessel and Leech Rainbow Strides way earlier than I normally would, and without those 2 items, this build is basically unplayable. Even with these 2 items, this build feels kind of unplayable. So the Rainbow Stride gives me some life and mana leech if I've killed recently, which only works if I've killed within the last 4 seconds. So map clear's perfect. Bosses, slight issue with these. The Vessel of Vinktar, it's 1 use. It gives me a bunch of flat damage, shoots my damage way up. I go from 4.6k with no buffs to 6.8k no buffs. With power charges, with frenzy charges, I split around like 20-30k, but anyway. And I get 20% of my lightning leeched as life and mana. And Vile Pact, life sustain is no problem, mana sustain, no problem. Now the issue I have with this build is the map clear is fine, the single target damage is really good if I can leech my mana. You say, well, Tarke, just use Warlord's Mark. If I use Warlord's Mark, I lose my power charge generation unless I'm doing Orb of Storm's power charge on crit, which is incredibly wonky. Or I lose my Poacher's Mark, in which case I lose some sustain, I lose frenzy charges, I lose accuracy. That's really wonky. Basically, I need a way to always be leeching, and currently, if I don't one-shot a boss in 1 flask usage, I need to portal back to hideout, refill my flasks, go back in, 2-shot it, which is obviously really goddamn annoying. Really, really annoying. Now, aside from that, the build works really well. The damage is nice. I haven't invested too heavily. I'm using a fairly... It's a decent wand. It's not an amazing wand. I am using a Crown of Eyes, so any increase to spell damage also applies to attacks. So my imbued wand has 40% increased attack damage, which is really nice. Has some flat fizz, has some flat lightning, has some crit chance on there. It's got some wasted stats. You could get a much better wand, right? But it's like a decent wand. Obviously not a good DPS ring. I'm using a pretty decent ring here. Has some energy shield, has some flat damage, has resists. It's not crazy damage, it doesn't have crit chance, it doesn't have attack speed, but it's like still pretty nice. Same with this. This is a pretty nice neck. It's got some accuracy on there, it's got some crit chance, it's got some crit multi, it's got some fizz attack damage leeched as mana. Still having mana issues. Not amazing wed roll, but it's something. These are my gloves. No DPS on my gloves at all, because, you know, I'm just trying to get my resists up, and then obviously the Rainbow Strides. And this is just a shield that I picked up for 5 chaos, and then got someone to mastercraft some resist on it. So my gear is like, okay, A3, 8k energy shield, and you with a 577 ES chest. So as terms of like just like defensive stuff with proper gear, you're looking at like 10-11k energy shield, which is really nice, with not much without that much investment on the tree. I really struggled with that sentence for some reason. Still haven't picked up my Uber Lab because I need to pick up all the trials, which is, you know, some more offense and some more defense. And, you know, it's all fairly basic. Now, to avoid lag, I'm going to jump out of the game and just show you what things are on the skill tree. So that's kind of where the character is now. Now, this is kind of what I'm aiming for with my tree, but I still have this issue with mana sustain. Now, this is what I'm considering like the core base. This is what I think is like the base for the Inquisitor, Ele Wonder, and then you have a few different ways of doing it. Now, you can either do this way, where you fill in Ele damage, and then you have 2 points left over to pick up stuff like jewels. You can pick up Light of Divinity because I have the Crown of Eyes, and that obviously gives you a lot of flat Ele scaling. Or, and this is what I think I will do, you can do this, where you come down into Ranger Start and pick up Primal Spirit and Druidic Rite. Yes, this is more points, but whatever. The reason why I think this route is good is it gives you a bunch of more flat mana. It gives you Flask Charge Generation. It gives you Flask Charge Generation and Flask Effect Duration and a bunch more flat mana. You can't really see it because my head's in the way. And you also get the accuracy, some attack speed, so on and so forth. So it's basically, do I need damage? Take this route, get a jewel. Do I need utility? Come down this way. But Tarke, you still have this leech issue. I don't really know what to do. The obvious solution would be, well, in that case, come down this way, come down this way, Life of Mana Leech, Vitality Void, again, my head is in the way, pick up all this leech, now 121 points. Okay then, so now we need to start cutting. I tried playing Kinetic Blast with and without Pierce. Frankly, without Pierce it feels terrible. Playing it with Pierce feels a million times better, so I have to have Pierce. So I now need to drop points. You go, well, okay, I'll drop this wand cluster at the top. This wand cluster is the whole point of playing wands. Really efficient damage. Really efficient damage. The best crit nodes in the entire tree. 30% crit chance, 12% multi is amazing. And then 6% increase 1 damage per power charge. 6 times 6. It's good damage, man. We have 6 power charges. It's really good. This, again, 4 times 6. It's good damage. 121 points. That means we need to drop AoE. Still high points. We need to drop that, which is really good crit chance, really good Ele damage. Still high points. Drop that. Can't drop flask charge stuff because we need flasks, otherwise the build doesn't work. Basically, you go, well, Tarke, this seems like a really stretched build, and you've dropped all the good utility stuff of what made it good to be, you know, in the Templar start, makes it good about being in the Witch start, and you're dropping Ele, you're dropping a lot of crit, you're dropping like loads of good stuff. What makes a lot of sense, however, is why don't you do Ranger start? Because if you had Ranger start, then you get to keep all the nice stuff, drop Templar. Whoa, look, we have 104 points. You can pick up this again. You go, well, you're most likely going to be doing poison related stuff because you obviously not be doing elemental anymore. So you're doing something sort of like this. This gives you poison, so you're saving out a gem. It means you get much more flexibility on your gem usage. Nature's Adrenaline gives you lots of movement speed, it gives you some attack speed. You get nice flask charge sustain on bosses. I need to test it, they have nerfed it. Maybe it's not that good, but still pretty amazing. You get some nice defense, chance to not use flasks. Problems. So I'm thinking that basically, until I can find a way to solve the mana leech issues on my Inquisitor, and the only real solution I can see to that realistically is get a very good Fizz Wand, have mana leech on a bunch of jewels, have mana leech on a bunch of jewelry, and just have a really good Fizz Wand, which means have a really expensive build. And also that tree wants to do Shav's low life, because it is Crown of Eyes, it is Pain Achievement, that becomes 30% more attack damage. I realistically think that my Inquisitor kind of needs a lot of really expensive things. Now, Mathel played a lot of poison-based Ranger Wonders back with the Frostwall nerfs, and he tried playing it post-Frostwall nerf. And he was doing a lot of stuff with Raider. And basically the conclusions that he came to was poison-based Kinetic Blast doesn't really work anymore for high, like, Guardian shape level single target as a Raider, because he had the issue that he could kill stuff when he had his flask, but he was always using all of his portals. So he'd basically have to go Pathfinder or do something with Ele Inquisitor. I think I'm kind of coming to the same conclusion as Mathel. Surprising that, isn't it? I think that for the Ele Inquisitor to really, really work, you need a lot of very expensive gear, a really nice Fizz Wand, and kind of do low life pain achievement stuff. Or, as I'm thinking, I might need to do Pathfinder. Now, I do want to keep playing around with my Inquisitor a little bit more, but I think I'm going to be remaking my character as a Pathfinder. And the reason being is I'm trying to explore how good Wonders realistically are, and if I can come up with a version that I'm happy with to play in hardcore, which doesn't require ridiculous amounts of currency, because if the build only works with like 30x, then, well, you can make anything work with 30x. Another advantage of doing the build as Pathfinder is it's quite easy to do a life version of this kind of a tree, and it would work. Oh, another thing is obviously you'd rebalance the tree, get this stuff, and, you know, you'd play around with points a little bit. But this is just something I'm quickly filling in. Trim points, but anyway, this isn't like a Ranger build guide. So yeah, I think what I'm probably going to try and do is I will stay on softcore for about another week or so, and I'm going to fiddle around with different poison-based wonders and see if I can kind of come up with a budget-friendly wonder which is capable of scaling into the higher content. I know you can do stuff with obliteration wands, and I've seen a few elementalist builds and stuff, but they're kind of like, oh look, it sort of works, but it has no single target with the frostwall changes. I know you can do stuff with Kinetic Blast mines, but I think that this Pathfinder option might be a much better bet, and I want to try around with some life and some CI variants. So yeah, keep expecting updates from me. Any of you guys who've played a lot of Wonders, if you have any advice or suggestions, please do leave them in the comments. And I will try and keep some more videos going up. I'll try and have another one out around about Christmas, but if I don't have one up by Christmas itself, happy holidays everyone. I hope you all have a pretty nice time, and I will catch you in the next few days. I'm Tarke. Peace.